very much for agreeing to do this interview today. And could you just start by very briefly running through where you were born, where you did your high school, when you enlisted, and the camps you were in before you went to the Middle East?
Well, I was born in Dublin, Ireland. My father was English, my mother was an Australian. And I was brought out to Australia when I was 5 months old. My father was an English officer and married my mother. And he wanted to be a farmer. Didn't know anything about it, so he used all my mother's money. She came from a wealthy family to be a farmer and broke. So my education was, I rode 9 miles to a school at Kumanal every day, 2 or 3 years, and then I was on correspondence.
And did you join the militia?
And then I worked in elders' wool stores, and then I joined the militia.
Yeah. Which unit was that?
The 25th Light Horse. Headquarters, the headquarters company, and we were stationed at Melbourne. And I was in the headquarters, it was at NCO. NCO sort of platoon. And from there we joined the 2nd 3rd Machine Gun Company.
Yes. Where did you train with the 2nd and 3rd?
We went to Northern Camp first. We trained in Northern Camp for 5 months. And then we went to Adelaide for about 3 or 4 months. We joined up with our battalion, headquarters. There was we were Don Company, the Australian Company, under a Major Lynham. There was a Victorian Company under Hick Griner, Major Hick Griner. There was a Tasmanian Company, C Company. The headquarters company was A Company, an A Company. And commanding officer was Arthur Blackburn, who'd been Victoria Cross winner in World War I. I think everyone had the greatest respect for him. He's a great man.
Now, could I ask you, when you went to the Middle East, do you remember the name of the vessel that you went to the Middle East on?
Went to East on the Ile de France, which was, at that stage, was one of the biggest liners in luxury liners. But we were we were last on in Fremantle. We were down in D deck in very hot and very cramped conditions. So me and quite a few of us used to go up on the deck and sleep at night to get some sleep.
But when you went to the Middle East, where were you located? And
we went to Colombo on the way, had 3 or 4 days in Colombo, and then we went to Gaza. We went to Port Tewfik, landed at Port Tewfik, and in Egypt, and then we went to Gaza.
Yes.
I remember that well because my father had been badly wounded at Gaza Ridge. He was an officer in the Royal Scots. And so I was able to send a message home, because you couldn't say where you were. I sent a cable saying we've arrived where Dad was wounded.
Pretty good clue there.
And so then we did training in the Middle East, around Palestine.
Yes.
And I actually, then we went up to Syria. That's right, we were in Syria. We went up to into the Vichy French. And I got malaria. One of the first ones. I got bad malaria. Base malaria, and Sergeant Nathan Whistle said, I went and report to the doctor, so I reported to the doctor. Next thing I was on an ambulance, back down to Palestine. So I didn't see much of the Syrian campaign.
Yes.
They were only there for a few weeks.
Who was the doctor that you saw?
Dr. Palou.
Yes. Yeah.
He said, right, report to the ambulance.
Now, your unit was part of which division?
7th.
7th Division. Now, when did you know that the 7th Division were going to be brought back to Australia, which I think was what everyone thought was happening?
I don't think we ever knew. We knew we were going back to Australia. We were in Lebanon, up at Tripoli, in the north of Lebanon, quite a reasonably nice sort of city. We had camped not far from there. And next thing we were down on the train to Port Tewfik. And I think we thought we were coming home, but we got on the way, there's some talk of the ship being diverted to Burma. Churchill wanted us to go to Burma, which had already fallen to the Japanese anyway. And then we were taken to Java, where we stayed for a few days on the ship, on the Orchids, and then it was a case of one day on the deck, all in their uniforms, great coats, and no one knew what was happening. No one knew. Because great coats will be worn and great coats won't be worn. And there was one fellow, I suppose an outback larrikin guy, but he's got his great coat and threw it overboard. So great coats won't be worn. But we were unloaded on Java, and then we were put on guarding aerodromes. On the drone I was on with Eddie Saliba and a few other mates, and the Japs came over and strafed every aircraft that was there. We stayed in ditches waiting. And then we capitulated. No, that's right. Sorry. our leader was Brigadier Blackburn, who'd been our battalion commander. He was a magnificent man, Victoria Cross winner from World War I. And he was the last one that would ever declare defeat.
Yes.
But I remember being on Java. We were taken in trucks up into the mountains, up towards Gurut, a place called Gurut.
Mm-hmm. This is before you became prisoners of war, was
That's
it?
right, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being in the jungle with 3 or 4 other Australians. Charlie Parker was our sergeant, he was main battalion, and we had rifles and revolvers issued from the Boer War vintage. And we were in the jungle waiting for the Japs to come.
Mm.
And I remember Charlie saying, "You have to help me out," sort of thing, because we're going to fight to the last, sort of thing. Anyway, then the word came through, capitulation. So with myself, a big timber cutter from the southwest called Tiny White, was in our battalion, and another chap called Stevens, and we just headed towards the south coast of Java. So we walked through the mountains, the hills, for 2 or 3 days till we got to the coast. And when we got down to the coast, there were other Australians down there from the Pioneer Battalion, 2nd Pioneer Battalion, and there was a few Americans there, Texas Rangers, I think they were called.
The artillery boys.
Yeah, they had revolvers, were real Texans. And we stayed there. I remember spending all night with a torch, flashing the torch on, because the Yanks reckoned the US Carolina was going to come in and pick us up. There was no US Carolina or any other ship ever sighted. So we stayed down there for a week or 10 days, and then some of these pioneer guys were pretty wild, and they started killing the Javanese goats and things. Well, I suppose they needed them for food, so we thought it was time to go back. There was no Yanks going to come in. So we walked back to where our battalion was. I think they were at a place called Gurut at that stage.
And they were they prisoners at this stage, or were?
Yeah, they were prisoners at this stage.
So how did you actually go and virtually surrender to the Japs?
Well, they'd surrendered already.
Yes, but I'm talking about your group that were walking back. How did you either integrate with your unit?
We just, well, I'm a little bit vague in my memory there, but I think we just walked back in and sort of stayed with the group.
Yes.
And then later on we went to, we went to this camp, which had been a Dutch barracks, the Gurut. And there we were counted for.
Yes.
And I remember there, we were near Bandung, and there was a couple of Dutch officers had a family in Bandung.
Yes.
So on a couple of occasions at night time, they'd snuck out to get to see their families. they were found out by the Japanese. So the Japanese lined them up in front of us, lined us all up, and put these fellows out and tied them to a stake. And the Japanese soldiers were ordered to charge. They had fixed bayonets. So they charged, they hit the guys in the groin, then they ran back and charged again, hit them in the middle of the stomach, then they hit them to the heart. So that was the example of what the Japs were going to do.
Yes. How long were you on Java before you became part of a party to go to Thailand?
I think it was nearly 10 months
Yes.
altogether.
Yeah.
Most of that time was spent in Bandung. It was
Yes.
a beautiful part of Java.
Yes.
In a camp which was quite good, really.
And did you ever spend any time in bicycle camp?
No.
No.
No, I didn't go there.
Did you ever? Your battalion medical officer, Tim Godley, was he with you
That's right.
at this stage?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Was he good as a
Yeah.
medical officer?
Great guy. Yeah. Great guy.
Did you know of Weary Dunlop and his casualty clearing station people at that stage?
Yeah, well, Weary took us over.
Yes.
He took us over in Bandung.
Yes. Did you know of this mysterious Colonel Lawrence Vanderpost at that stage?
Yes. Didn't know too much.
No. You didn't have an opinion about him at all?
He was a rather mysterious guy, and I think a pretty good guy.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know.
So when you became to be moved in the vessel to, I guess you didn't know where you were going. Do you know the name of the ship that you were put on?
No, I can't remember the one.
No.
I can remember the one we went to Japan on,
Yes.
Miyake Maru.
Yes.
Miyake's got
Of course.
the sick
Yes.
ship. Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember how many days it took to sail from? You would sail from Batavia, didn't you, or
Batavia, yes.
to Singapore? How many days it took that to get there?
I think it was about 2 days. 2 days and 2 nights.
And do you remember your reception in Singapore by the POWs who were already there?
Oh, it was. I didn't particularly know anyone. I knew Fred Airy well. But he'd come to us in Java.
Yes.
And Fred was. He's a great guy as far as I was concerned. He was our Sergeant Major in the 25th Light Horse. And I think some of our officers were jealous of him. And some of our officers weren't very capable officers anyway.
Did you, Fred Smedley?
Yeah, I knew Fred.
Yes.
I knew him.
And when was he with you at that stage when you went to Singapore?
I think he was.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of that. I think
Yes.
he was.
And
Yes, I think he was.
when did you get to know of the other doctors that were with Weary Dunlop, like Arthur Moon and Ewan Corlett?
Well, they were with us in Java too.
Yes.
They went up with us.
When you arrived in Singapore, did you have many or any HMAS Perth boys with you?
Yes, we had quite a number. Ray Parkin, petty officer. Horry Abbott, another petty officer. And there were 2 or 3 other guys I knew. We ran a sort of boxing gym in Bandong, despite everything else. And there was 2 or 3 other boys off the Perth used to come down and learn a bit of boxing from Jimmy Mounsey. Jimmy Starr had fought. He'd been the Victorian heavyweight champion. Would have been heavyweight champion of Australia against Dave.
Can I just take you back to when you're on Java? If I mentioned the name of a Jap who was there, a Lieutenant Maury, was he in charge of your camp?
Yes, absolutely.
Maury. Did you see any... it is alleged that he buried a POW up to his neck in the ground for a number of days. Did you see that incident?
No.
Did the Japs treat you badly in Java?
Oh yes, yes. We were on, although we were under our own
command
to a point, which was quite good. But, you know, we used to see the Japs mainly used to go out and work parties, and we used to get bashed up then.
Yes.
That started the bashings.
Did you have much contact with the Dutch?
Yes, quite a bit there. Yes.
And were you aware that the Dutch had capitulated 4 days before Brigadier Blackburn capitulated on your behalf? Did you have anything to do with the Dutch Air Force people?
No.
No.
Had everything to do with some Australian Air Force guys.
Yes.
With some, I think it was 6 or 8 with us, who'd been through the British Empire training scheme in Britain and come back to fly Kitty Hawks in Java, but there was no Kitty Hawks or planes forward to fly.
Yes,
so
yeah.
They just straight in the bag. There's a chap, Bill Belford, I think he still may be alive, in Queenslander, a school teacher. He was a big 6'6". The last time I saw him was in Adelaide in 1950, and he won the Australian Amateur Heavyweight Championship.
Yes.
He was a school teacher.
Now if we can move forward, and I'll just summarise, because most people understand how you got from Singapore to Thailand, like going up on the train with about 600 men on the train load,
That's right.
4 nights, 5 days, irregular meals, poor toilet facilities and that sort of thing.
Well, no toilets.
Yes, well that's right. So let's position you now that you arrive in Ban Pong. And what was your initial reaction when you got there? Or were you expecting to go to a place where the climate was better and food was more abundant and all those things that...
We were told that by the Japanese.
Yes, yeah.
But it was just the opposite.
Yes.
They were Ban Pong. I remember arriving there, and then we marched part of the way, and then we were put on trucks to go to Taso.
Yes.
Which was like the first staging post on the Burma Railway line. And I think Fred Airy saved my life there, because he gave me a job on the cutting wood for the cookhouse, which well, if you're associated with the cookhouse, you got a little bit more food.
Can I just ask, you just said this was at Taso, but was it at Taso, or had you gone further forward to Konyu at this stage?
I'm not sure of that, but I think we're still at Taso.
Yes. And I would like
we went to Konyu later.
Yes. I'd like to ask you, go back a little bit and think about how you got up there. And I know you said you went on trucks, and and would you remember when you went through Kanchanaburi, or what was called Canberry? Do you recall going through there?
That's right, yes, yep.
And do you remember then going up beside a river and having to cross the river before you went to Tarsay?
Yes.
Do you remember how you got across that river?
On barges, I think, on barges.
Yes, yes. So you got off your trucks on one side and maybe there were trucks on the other side for you to continue your journey, or
No, we walked.
You walked across?
We walked from there.
Oh, you walked all the way from there up to Tarsay?
That's right.
Yeah. And which was already a British camp when you arrived there,
That's
was
right.
it? And can you tell me what things did the Japs force you to do in your work for them when you were in that area? Were you doing embankments or pile driving or sleeper laying or?
Yeah, I remember we would mainly sleeper laying, I think, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Or cleaning the rail for the sleepers to be laid.
Oh, clearing the trace.
Clearing the tracks.
Yes, yeah,
The sleepers were cutting big rocks off.
yes.
And we had the Japs were drilling. They had drills. And then we'd have to get out. They'd hardly give you time to get out away from the blast because the rocks would fly everywhere.
Mm. So they had compressors there, did they?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I don't, not at that stage, I don't.
No.
Well, they would have had compressors, of course they did.
Mm.
But, so I know one of our fellows, one of our sergeants in Calaburn,
Charlton, was it?
Charlton, yes.
Frank Charlton.
Frank
Mm.
He was hit by flying rocks, and then within a few days he died.
Yes, yeah. And it's my understanding that he ended up with an ulcer in his leg, and he refused to have if he'd had his leg amputated, he may have survived,
Yes.
but he refused to have that.
I don't know about
No.
that. I couldn't say.
So were you in the Hintock Mountain Camp?
Yes.
And were you ever in Hintock River Camp as well?
Yes.
And who was the doctor down at Hintock River Camp?
Dr. Corlett.
Corlett.
Major Corlett.
And do you remember him having a medical orderly down there by the name of Ray Denny?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew Ray Denny.
Yeah.
I saw him, met him since in South Australia.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
a doctor himself now.
Oh no, you might be thinking of Red Sheedy.
Oh, Richie.
Yeah. Well, Red died last year.
Did he?
Yeah.
He's a doctor.
Yes, a surgeon. Yeah.
He died.
Yeah. But do you remember Denny at all, Ray Denny? Because he worked closely with Corlett.
No, maybe I wouldn't, not too sure about that. I remember Red Sheedy quite well.
Yes.
I just got him mixed up there. That's
Yeah. What do you think of Sheedy? He was a sergeant, wasn't he?
Good guy.
Mm. Yeah. Do you remember another well, I think he was a pioneer, second pioneer by the name of Corrie?
No.
No. So you were in Hintock Mountain Camp?
Yeah.
Was that where there were apes in the trees?
Yeah.
Yeah. And was that where Major Woods set up the reticulation system with showers and?
Yes, I think so. Yes, it was. Yeah.
Mm. What did you sleep in? What was your accommodation when you were in Hintock Mountain Camp?
I think there were sort of bits of tent.
Mm.
We just sort of slept on the slats, the bamboo slats. We just slept on them,
Yes. Yeah.
and on the ground.
Yes. Yeah.
There was no comforts made whatsoever, no effort by the Japanese to do.
Now, do you remember being in any of these camps when the 7,000 boys with F Force marched through?
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember them going marching.
And they still had about another 200 kilometres to march
That's
after
right.
they'd gone through there.
That's right, yeah. They were falling out then.
And do you remember the Japs marching through your camp at any time? You know, like as they were going through to take their fighting troops and their mountain guns into Burma?
I'm a bit vague about that. I remember Japs. Yeah, I can vaguely remember something.
Yes. Now, after you've been at Tarso, you've been at Konyu, you've been up at Hintok Mountain Camp,
Yep.
you've been down at Hintok River Camp.
That's right.
Did you go up to Kinsale as well?
I don't think I did.
No. When did you get ill? Was that at Hintok River Camp?
Yes, probably was, yes. Because Hintok River Camp, yes. Because I remember reporting to Dr. Collette,
Yes.
and I was sent up the river back down to Tarso.
Yeah. Now, tell me about Corlett. When you went to him, did he have a shirt and trousers, or was he a Jap happy? Did he have footwear? Do you remember anything about that?
Yes, I think he had shirt and trousers. I don't think he had any boots. I think he had thongs on or something.
They're like those clogs,
Yeah.
yeah, that people used to make for. And what did he? Well, what were you ill with at that stage?
Oh, I suppose just broken down, stressed down, and dysentery.
Worn out, yeah.
Dysentery malaria.
Yes. And what did he prescribe to happen to you when you were there? Was that when you were evacuated?
That's when I was evacuated, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think he had anything he could give anyone.
No.
I don't think he had any medication.
No. Do you remember how you were evacuated? Do you remember?
Yes, I remember quite. We went down on a boat down the Kwai.
A barge, was
A
it?
barge, yes.
Yeah.
Down to Tarso.
And was that a special, was that one that would have just brought supplies up and then it went back and they put the sick on it?
I think so, yes.
Was it towed or did it, how did it,
When it propelled itself,
yes.
they had an engine in the back of it.
How many would have been on it with you?
Oh, I mean, 16 or something.
Yes. Yeah, you'd be fairly crammed.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. And that then took you down to where?
To Tarso.
Back to Tarso.
Yeah.
So that was where nearly all the doctors were Brits, is that right?
Yeah, well, I remember we pulled in there. Well, I think I told you the story. We pulled in there, and there was an English guy on the boat with us, like a few English. This guy was in a pretty bad way,
Mm-hmm.
and this English major sitting in a tent, just sheltered from the sun, with his Batman, his shoes, boots all shining, pressed uniform,
Mm.
looking fat and well, as if he'd never gone without anything.
Mm.
And this poor little English guy staggered up, and he said to him, "Son, you are a disgrace to the British Empire." That's what he said.
Mm.
Go back there. And it was an old Victorian pug just ahead of me. So he talks like that to my old drop, the bastard.
Yes. Now, did you go into the hospital camp at Tarso, or did you go to another one called Wanyai?
I was in Tarso for a while. And then I went to a big hospital base camp,
Was that Chonkai?
Tonkai,
Okay. So did you ever see Sid Howard? Do you remember when Sid Howard got a wound to his leg?
Yeah, I remember that. They, I remember when she had put the wound to his head, to his
Leg.
leg.
Mm.
He'd had a badly infected leg. And he and another guy, they could hardly walk. The Japs made them go to work. But they didn't, they hid in the jungle. He and another guy. I think an English guy. So they got them when they came back at night. They counted, they were too short. So they got these guys and they just belted the hell out of them with sticks. And the Jap was going for Sid's eyes with a sharp stick, and he saw this big ulcer on the leg, so they went for that. And they poked all their sticks, poked the sticks in it, and laughed. Anyway, a few days later, Sid was taken down to.
Well, he ended up in Chong Kai.
Chong Kai,
and
the leg was taken off by
Markovic.
yeah.
And he speaks, volumes about Markovic.
Yeah.
Or spoke, I should say. Yeah.
I saw Sid right before he died.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, in Hollywood.
Yeah.
He's a lovely guy.
Yes. Yeah.
And I saw him and he did next day, I think next day he died.
Yes. That was fairly sudden, wasn't it? Because he was handling things fairly well.
He was amazing, yeah. Amazing. Unfortunately, he got married when he came back and his wife had died. He was on his own.
Yes. Now, when you were down in... Oh, well, you went down back to Taso by barge.
Yeah.
How did you move from Taso to Chong Kai?
I think by barge again, I'm not sure.
Yes, yeah.
I think it was barge.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I'll just stop the camera for a moment. Now, we've just had a little pause and you'd gone down to Chong Kai. What sort of a hospital camp was Chong Kai, as you recall?
Well, I went down there and to Chong Kai. It was a very big hospital. It was pretty well. I had a couple of friends there. I think Eddie Saliba and Vandersloot.
Yes.
Were there. And when I got there, Vandersloot, little Jewish chap, he came from South Australia, gave me a few tickles, a few to buy. He was always in the...
He was a trader.
Yeah. They hadn't sent him up the line. He'd never worked up except on the line. Because he was an old man then.
Yes.
But then I got a job getting a few baht a day to buy an egg, massaging a lot of these poor English subs. Hell of a state. And
so you became virtually a medical orderly, did you?
I suppose, yes. But then, and I used to go out and cut, bring in wood for the cooks, bamboo. Because we used to work, sometimes I had to walk 4 or 5 miles to find a good long bamboo, dead bamboo to bring in the cooks.
Did you collect that all from the same side of the river, or did you ever have to cross the river to get
I had to cross the river every time.
Yeah.
I don't think I had to swim, I had to wade across. I could wade across or swim.
So, I wonder what month this would have been, because it couldn't have been when the monsoon was on, because the river would have been a raging torrent.
Yes, you probably, yes, well I used to wade across the river. It wasn't a raging torrent, so it must have been.
Was maybe there's another clue here, was the railway finished? Were trains moving on the railway at this stage?
Yes.
Yeah, so it was later, yeah.
But I was for a period there, I was massaging and getting, after my anger day or something, and then this old Vandersloot had trained a lot of people in Australia. So no, I get out of that. So there you're training, you're giving them your strength. You're giving them your strength.
Mm.
So that you're going to just fade away.
Mm.
So I cut and went just cutting this bamboo.
Mm.
And for a start it was fairly easy to get them. It had to go a long way to find a dead bamboo.
Mm.
And you used to get a few baht to buy an egg or two.
Mm. Did you ever see the Wampo Viaduct, which is only about 20 kilometres from that camp?
I'm not sure about that.
No. There were. Do you remember any of the British doctors in that camp?
Yes. I can't tell you the names. I didn't have a very good opinion of most
No.
British doctors.
Do you remember a Major Dunlop? Yeah, like same name as Weary, but
Yeah.
a Major Dunlop?
No,
No. Do you remember a Colonel Morrison? Or?
no.
No. Was Chalker with you in that camp?
I think he was.
Mm. But you wouldn't have known him
No, no.
yeah, particularly. So where were you which camp were you in when you were chosen to become part of the Japan Party?
In that same camp.
In Chonkai.
Chonkai, yeah.
Mm. Had you at that stage seen what the Tamakan Bridge, the bridge over the river?
Yeah, I've seen
Right.
those, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know whether we moved to I don't know whether we moved down to Kanchanaburi or somewhere there
Yes.
to be selected.
Yes. And when you moved between Chonkai and Kanchanaburi, did you walk or did you go down by train? And do you remember crossing the bridge?
Yes, I do. I think we went by train, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Now, when you were chosen for the Japan Party, what were you told, and how were you chosen? Maybe that.
Well, as long as you can stand up, I think you're chosen.
Yes.
Virtually.
Yeah.
We weren't told anything.
No.
I think there was a Japanese officer who was obviously homesick and told us how lucky we were to be going back to the land of the cherry blossoms.
Yes. Now, when you left Kanchanaburi, and I know you told me you were on the Byakuya Maru and left from Singapore, but how did you move from, say, Kanchanaburi or Canberra to Singapore?
We went down by train. We went down by train again, I think.
Right, all the way from Kanchanaburi?
From Bampong.
From Bampong, yes. So, what did you feel when you were going back across the railway that you come up on?
Yeah.
Were you hoping for something better, or?
Oh, we just sort of, I think we were like, what shall I say, zombies.
Yes.
We just took it as it came.
Yeah, yeah. Was it as hard a trip as when you came up?
I think so, yeah.
Mm. So when you got to Singapore, what camps did you go into?
Into Changi.
You went right out to the Changi area, did you?
I think for the start, then we moved into near the wharves,
Yes.
near the go downs.
It wasn't anything like River Valley Road or Havelock Road camp?
Havelock Road sounds like.
Mm.
But that's where we sort of were waiting.
Yeah. So when you were taken, did you have any medical tests by the Japs before you were?
Yep. Had the glass rod treatment.
Yes. Where did that occur?
Oh, Oh, that was back in Thailand.
Yes, at Kanchanaburi or somewhere like that.
Yes,
Mm. Taiwan, you weren't in Taiwan at any time?
I don't think so, no.
You weren't with Ken Woods then at any time, were you?
I was with Ken Woods at different times,
Yeah.
but Ken gets a bit carried away at times.
Mm.
He's,
Yeah, I know. I understand. That's perfectly understandable too. Yeah. So when you first saw the Byakuya Maru, what was your impression of this boat that you were going to go on?
she'll never make it.
Mm.
She'll never make it.
What was significant about the boat?
Well, it had been, as far as I recall anyway, it had been sunk. It was in the Singapore harbour, it had been refloated and welded together.
Mm.
And I know that some of the chaps on the Perth, Pentecost and Ray Parker and one or two were very wanted to ever get to Japan.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Horry Abbott was a great old petty officer from Perth.
Yes.
Happy chap and good guy.
Mm.
Ray Parker.
Did you know that the American submarines were active in the area?
We didn't. We knew when we got in the sea, in the ocean here.
Mm. Mm.
There was a ship with prisoners on, was shot out of the water with the Jap submarines, with the American submarines.
Mm.
But we saw that sinking.
Mm-hmm. It was in your convoy.
Yeah.
How many boats were in the convoy?
I'm not sure.
No. When you were on the ship, were you aware of a Major or Captain Reg Newton being on the?
Yeah, Roaring Ridging. Yeah.
Yeah. And were you aware of a number of other Australian doctors on it? And I'll just name them. There was Hinder, Parker, Duncan.
No, it wasn't really.
No, and they'd all come down off the line.
Yeah.
As well.
Because when we got to Japan, or near Japan, we were split. And so some of the party went to another camp.
Mm.
We went to Ahoma.
Yes.
And I don't think we had a Dutch doctor with us.
Yeah.
Little Dutch doctor.
Do you remember his name?
No.
No. Was he good?
He wasn't too bad. He
He
was half.
I was just going to ask you if he was a Eurasian.
Eurasian.
Yeah.
He wasn't a lot of help, but he was okay.
Yeah, and did you have some of your own medical orderlies in that camp?
No, I don't think so.
No.
No, I don't think so.
And the Byakuya Maru, it's well known that it took you something like 10 weeks
That's right.
to travel there.
Yeah.
That must have been really arduous. Can you tell us something about that?
Yes, well, I was detailed or got on shoving the coal into the coal, which I think we got a little bit more food.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a bit more chance if the ship had been sunk, I think. Because we were down, like when we put in there, right down the hold,
Mm.
and there was one little rope to get up out of the hold, there's a rope ladder.
Mm.
So we torpedo everything. There was no chance of anyone doing it. Well, I got detailed I wanted volunteers to stoke the fires, the ship, so I volunteered and I spent, I suppose, half the journey towards Japan anyway, doing this.
Was there any advantage in?
Yes, there was, I think, a little bit better food, and the advantage was you was in a torpedo, you had a chance of getting out of the boat.
Yes.
Down that hold, you'd have no chance.
Yeah. And was it warm? You know, were you more comfortable maybe?
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Where did you sleep? Did you sleep back with all the boys in the hold, or did you have somewhere special where you slept?
I think we slept up there. I think I slept alongside the fires there somewhere.
Mm.
I'm not dead sure about it, I think so. I don't remember going back down the hold again.
Now, did the ship ever get into a storm or a typhoon?
Had a typhoon after we left Okinawa.
Mm.
We were in Okinawa for a few days. And then we just headed off, and there was another ship in the convoy was sunk by a submarine.
Did your ship stop and pick any of the survivors up, or?
No, I don't think so.
Mm.
The Japs didn't care.
No.
And then we sailed to, we struck a typhoon, and the ship was really tossing, nearly turned over 2 or 3 times.
Mm.
But the Japanese captain of the ship was very skilled, and he managed to ride these waves.
Mm.
Eventually we got into in between 2 big sort of cliffs in the sea,
Mm.
which protected from the wind and the rain.
Yes. And did you say you landed in Japan at Moji, did you, or?
Yeah, Moji, yes.
Do you remember anything about your arrival there?
Yeah, I just remember and being detailed off to. We went up on a train from there to on the west coast of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry, I'm getting mixed up. No, we went up by train anyway to this place called Moji. It's a coal mine.
Mm.
And
But Moji was the port that you arrived at, so.
sorry, that's right.
Yes.
Ohama was the
Ohama, right.
sorry.
Yeah, that's right. What was the train like that you went up on? Was it
Pretty rough.
comfortable or
Not
rough?
Pretty rough. Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. Did they give you new clothing? Did they give you warm clothing or
No, they gave
footwear?
us, when we got to the mine, we were given clothing. It wasn't warm clothing.
No.
It was just a little Japanese suit thing.
Mm.
No, it wasn't warm.
And was was this mine owned by one of the Japanese industrial giants, or do you know who owned the mine?
I'm not certain, but I think so.
Mm.
I think so. We had the Japanese officer in charge was quite a decent old fellow, he was a schoolmaster, but he never came near it very much. And the Japanese guards there were just as bad as the ones on the railway. They delighted in bashing you up. You had to salute them all the time. If you missed saluting or whatever, you could. They just delighted in giving you a hell of a building.
Yes. Bill Haskell was in the same camp as you?
Bill was in the same camp. Yeah.
Who else was there of the second thirds? Was Flanagan up there?
Keith Flanagan was there. Bill Haskell.
Rod Allinson?
Yes, Rod was there.
Now he must have had some sort of role in the office or something, did he? Because he seemed to be able to maintain some records.
I'm not sure. Rod was a quartermaster sergeant.
Admin boy.
Yeah. So he might have had some role there.
Mm.
He said so. He would have, because I knew Rod after the war quite well.
Yes.
Good guy.
And did you work in the mine yourself?
Yeah.
What was your role?
Well, just shoveling.
Mm. You weren't operating the drills? You weren't right up the front?
No, I wasn't. I was where the drills were,
Mm.
but no, I was a shovel guy.
Mm. Mm.
And when the last night we were there was always stuck in my mind. We were in they used to go off the main pits. They'd go off into the coal seams,
Mm.
and they'd work these seams until they'd start up that high. They'd work them until they were about that high, even that high.
Yes.
You had to crawl on your belly to get into them.
Yes.
They'd shovel all night on your belly.
Yeah.
The last night I worked in the coal was like that.
Yes.
I think like after that they closed it the following day. It started to collapse.
I was just going to ask you about the, shoring up of
You
the...
could hear the cracks and
Yeah.
oh, it's going to go.
Yeah. Did any fellows get killed in the mine that you recall?
Yes. There was some killed. I can't tell you their name now, but I remember
Mm.
the three.
How far underground was this?
It was, we used to walk out from our quarters, and it was under the sea.
Mm.
We walked down tunnels down under the sea. I think it was about 3 miles down.
Yes.
Far pits.
And was it wet?
Yeah.
Did they have to have pumps to pump water out at any time?
Yes.
Mm.
That was wet, and some of them were pits were wet, some weren't.
Mm.
I remember the last night I had was the timbers had been up here somewhere and they'd gone down about that place.
Yes.
We walked around shoveling on our bellies,
Yes. Yeah.
pitch black,
Yeah.
and there were 3 of us, and there was only one light, the other 2 lights weren't working.
Mm. Mm. And they were battery operated, were they?
Yeah.
Mm. How often did the Japs change the batteries?
I don't know.
Mm. Do you remember any examples of Japanese brutality in that Ohama camp?
Oh yes, plenty. Yeah. Well, I myself, I was. I didn't answer coming out after you had to answer the roll call,
Mm.
and I was a bit slow. And Mihaka Kujiroka was my number,
Mm.
296.
Mm.
And apparently he was a bit slow in answering. I can't remember what else I might have done, but I had to kneel down with a stick with a log under your legs here like that,
Mm-hmm.
for an hour or two, and then they just came out from the guardhouse and systematically bashed me around the head.
Yes.
And now they're round desirable race as far as I'm concerned.
What was your living quarters like?
They're quite good there.
Mm.
It was a school, it was a men's school,
Yeah.
high school, and we had some palliasse.
Mm.
There's 8 of us in the room that I was in, and
Did you have blankets, pillows?
we
or
had
anything?
blanket. We had any pillows, we had
No.
blanket.
Mm-hmm.
No, we didn't have any pillows.
More than one blanket?
Yeah, I had 2 blankets.
Yes. And any other form of heating in the hut?
I think there was a bit of heating,
Mm.
but it was still damn cold.
Yes. And how did you clean yourself up when you...
They had showers,
Mm. Were they hot or cold or tepid or...
cold.
Cold.
And they had, no, they didn't have showers. Sorry, I said showers. They had a big bath,
Mm.
and that was heated,
Yes.
but then it used to get cold.
Yeah.
So it depended when you came in. You came in that shift, we had warm water.
Yeah.
Little bucket thing to tip over yourself,
Yes.
save yourself. And it's got a little bit of Red Cross out there. So we tip that over yourself, and but then, like the next shift, and water got cold.
Yes.
And of course, while we were in Japan, Christmas we had there was snow and ice locked up everywhere.
Mm.
I didn't feel as much as I felt the cold this last few weeks of it.
Yeah. It's been chilly. Yeah.
Blood doesn't run so well as it did then, probably.
Yes. Yeah.
But anyway, that's. No, Japan was the food. We were almost starving. Just gave us enough to keep us standing up.
And it was the company that owned the mine that provided your food,
That's right.
wasn't it? Yeah. So did you have 3 meals a day, or 2, or did you take? I think there's a term, a bento box. Did you take that down the mine?
We took
with
that
you?
down the mine. Yes,
Uh-huh.
yeah. We were issued with that.
So that was just cold rice with.
It's right, cold rice with a bit of perhaps a small piece of fish in it or something.
Yes. Yeah.
Lay down the night. Yes, the mine was horrible. It was a nightmare.
Yes. Was your camp bombed by the Americans at any time?
They dropped bombs not far from us, but not the camp was involved.
Not on your camp.
No.
So did you have an impression of what was going on?
Well, we did later. Yeah. The first part we didn't.
Yeah.
But then the last few weeks of the war,
Mm.
Yankee planes were over
Yes.
nearly every day.
Yes.
Could see them passing by, could see them bombing the boats in the river and in the ocean
Yes.
and nearby towns. And then of course the atomic bombs were dropped.
Yes.
But we didn't see anything of that.
And you knew nothing about it, of course.
No, not until after.
Yeah. Did anyone have a radio in the camp?
Yeah, there was a couple of radios, and they had to be very careful.
Mm. So did you get news from
Yeah, we got some
passed
news.
around the
Yeah,
camp?
yeah, there's a bit of news.
Who was the senior officer in the camp? The senior POW officer? Roaring Reg.
Roaring Reggie. Good old Reggie.
Yes. Yeah, quite an outstanding man, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. Jack Hands.
Yes,
Jack was a good guy.
yes. Well, he,
Yeah, and he's our best officer.
yes, yeah, yeah. So do you remember when you got the news that the war was over?
Yes.
Now, when you were told the war was over,
We didn't believe for a while.
but did you know which side had won though?
Yeah, we heard big. Some Japs said big bomb.
Yes,
Sagiwari, Jap finish.
mm,
Grand finish.
yeah. And what happened then? Did they stay in the camp, or did who ran the camp when suddenly this change of status occurred?
Well, for a while the Japs, and then we took over.
Mm,
Like Reggie and Newton.
mm. Were you able to walk out and go to villages and?
Yeah, we're too well, buggered, I suppose we could say.
Yeah,
We were all just really on starvation rations
yeah,
and we mostly stayed in the camp and waited. The Red Cross dropped a few days later
yes.
and dropped in our camp.
Mm.
Nearly killed a couple of guys.
Yes. Yeah.
And but so we sort of spent our time eating candies and Red Cross stuff
Yes.
we hadn't seen for years. And then while in the camp there was when the war had finished, there was a Jap came back. He was Abi Sain. He was the Jap. When we were down the mine, we used to get us organised. And he was always blustering and banging, bashing them. And he came back to the camp one day. So he said, this was just before we left, we got a bit of strength. So Banjo Binstead and I, we rushed, we got out, we saw this everything, because we're handing out, we're going away and we're handing out some of our gear, you see. This bastard, everything came back. I was first, I got to him first, and I hit him and smashed all his teeth. He had this used to call him brass mouth, had this.
Yeah.
I dropped him cold, smashed his teeth. And the whole Banjo got in second. He was lying on the ground, gave him a couple of kicks.
Is that the only person you took any retribution out on?
Yeah, because the Japs, after the war, the Japs just, we didn't see them go, not the guards. And I said the old officer in charge of the camp, Japanese schoolmaster, he's a good old guy. Really. But the guards were all vile. They just spent their spare time trying to catch some little thing that they could do. They could put you in a corner and belt the hell out of you.
Now, when the war was over, how long did it take before you started to move towards coming back to Australia?
I think it was about 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks.
You were in 4 weeks in the camp before?
Yeah, 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
Yes.
Japanese, the Red Cross was dropped by the Americans. And so we were eating, living on Red Cross food. And then we moved up by train along the west coast of Japan, because Hiroshima, we weren't very far from Hiroshima and Nagasaki, where the bombs had been dropped.
Yes.
So they kept us away from that area.
Yes.
Along the west coast of Japan. We went to a place called Wakayama, a port. And we put on an American hospital ship, beautiful, American nurses.
Yes. Do you remember the name of the ship?
Consolation.
And where did it go to?
Manila.
Yeah.
The Philippines.
Yes.
And no, well, we went to Okinawa.
Yes. How long were you there?
I got off with some of us on Kenny Saliba and gave us, we left in Okinawa, we stayed in Okinawa, and we flew down a few days, we were in Okinawa for a few days. So I can remember walking out and finding all these little crosses, thousands, American Marine, 22-year-old, 18-year-old, they'd taken here, the battery to knock the Japs out.
What sort of food did they give you in Okinawa?
We had American rations.
Yes. But did you have things like ice cream or? Yeah. Was that a novelty?
Oh my, never seen anything like that. Ice cream and ham and eggs.
Yeah. And from Okinawa, where did you go?
We went down to Manila.
On the same vessel?
No, well, we flew down.
I flew down to Manila.
Rodinger Brothers, the American Claude Rodinger.
Yes.
But a lot of them went on on the vessel. For some reason we were taken off, and the radiographs of Norman Hurley, and we stayed in Okinawa for a day or two, and then we were flown down to Manila.
Mm.
And Manila, the American Red Cross was there, and it was just like sort of being in heaven, I think.
Mm. Mm.
We just go and eat wherever we wanted to.
Yes. And did you stay on the aircraft all the way home after Manila, or?
No. We stayed in Manila 2 or 3 weeks, and sort of fed up. And then we were put on a British ship.
Not the Speaker, or?
The Speaker, yes.
Yeah?
Taken back down to Sydney.
Yes.
But we didn't like the Brits too much.
Mm. Mm. And from Sydney, how did you get home to Perth?
But we went into Red Cross camp in Sydney.
Was that the showgrounds?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we were fairly late home. Most of the other POWs had been home for a few weeks.
Mm.
We weren't quite the novelty.
Mm.
We went on a march through Sydney.
Mm.
Being sort of late ones home, we weren't the novelty as the earlier ones.
No.
And we stayed in this camp. Red Cross girls looked after us, took us to the Sydney Zoo and things like that, race meeting. And then we I'm not sure how some of the others went home. We went from train down to Melbourne, a train to Melbourne, and I think the day Caulfield Cup was being run, we were there. We went out, they took us out, the Red Cross took us to the Caulfield Cup.
Oh, so this is October.
Yeah.
Mm.
And we were the sort of late ones home. I think the others come home early.
And then how did you get back to Perth from Melbourne?
Came back by train.
Yeah.
And I saw some relatives in Adelaide on the way through. They came to the train to meet us.
So how did they know that you were coming through? Did you know that?
I don't know. I think my mother might have told me.
Yes.
So I contacted my mother, rang my mother. And I think it was her brother there. So she told me, I think, so they met us in Adelaide.
Was it a comfortable train journey, or?
Yes, it was quite a good journey.
Well, look, one thing I hadn't asked you earlier was how did you get from Perth to Adelaide? Did you go by boat or train when you were?
We went by train.
By train. So, what sort of coaches did you travel on that one?
Oh, second class and first class train.
Yes, yeah, thank you. So where did you finally catch up with your family?
Well, we flew to Perth. And went out to Karrakatta to sign off, sort of thing. And they were given the wrong information when we arrived. Well, we changed. I think it was that fellow wanted to. We were due to arrive at Perth Airport. But a couple of us had changed with a guy who wanted to get home, wanted to stay longer in Melbourne because he had a girlfriend there. So we changed with him. So Mother and Dad knew we were coming home, but we arrived about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Perth, the airport, and Mother and Dad thought we were coming at 5 o'clock, they'd been informed. So I came in and went to Karrakatta and signed off and went home to my house, which I'd never seen. My mother had bought this house in Nedlands. And I had a sister there. My sister was there, opened the house. Mother and father were out at the airport, unfortunately. And anyway, an hour or two later they came back and my mother was looked after me very well for.
Yeah. So when you, how long was it before you were discharged?
I think we got home in October. It was about January.
Yeah, it'd be in that piece of paper beside you, yeah?
Yes.
Oh.
It's about 2 or 3 months, yes. Sorry, brother.
February 46.
February, yes. Yes, it was 2 or 3 months after.
Yeah.
I think it was October, November we got that. November we got that.
And what did you resume as a civilian? What did you do then?
I went back to the Elders Wool Stores for a while where I'd worked before. And then I had an uncle of mine, my mother's brother, was Tony Kidman, in property south of Adelaide. My mother was a daughter of Sackville Kidman, who was a brother of Sydney Kidman, who was the cattle king. My mother's father was just as big away as he was. So I went back. He wanted me to go, he had no children. He wanted me to go back and said I could have his property, you know, if I looked after it for him. So I went back there, but it was a mistake. I was on my own and used to catch up with a few of the fellows in Adelaide.
Yes.
Would you like another coffee?
No, no, right,
Want
thanks.
another coffee?
No, right, thanks. We've only got about 8 minutes to go.
Okay. And it didn't work out. I was too unsettled. And
Yes.
in a way I wanted to be with my family, with my mother. But I caught up with quite a few of the South Australian guys.
Yes.
I was there.
Yes. Was Bill Schmidt one of them?
Yeah, Bill Smith.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Uh-huh.
yeah, Bill, he's a great guy.
And did you?
Peter Hearn,
Sorry.
Peter Hearn, Charlie Shea.
Yes, he was your warrant officer, wasn't he?
He's a South Australian footballer.
Yes. Did you become involved in the RSL or anything like that post-war?
I used to go to the meetings. I didn't become actively involved, but I did go to meetings.
Yes.
Yeah. And as in South Australia, they had a very strong unit association there,
Yes.
second, third. So I used to go down there now and again and catch up with quite a few of the South Australian fellows we've been involved with.
Yes.
With Charlie Shea and Peter Hearn. There was a friend of mine, I've got his name now. He looked after me very well there. He finished up manager of Elder Smith Australia.
Yes.
Lovely guy.
Now I've got a couple of questions just to finish off. and one of them might be, they're probably both very difficult to answer. One is, what was the worst thing that you associate with your prisoner of war life?
On the Thai Burma Railway, when the speedo was on, and it was wet every day and pouring rain, everyone seemed to be dying.
Yes.
Everyone who stayed alive, there was another one died.
Yes.
And chaps who'd been so strong. Remember our platoon sergeant, Arthur Withrow, fellows like that, who were particularly strong guys.
Yes.
Who just came in off the railway and were dead.
Yes.
Right.
When you're on the line, do you ever remember Corlett actually going out and bringing in someone that was ill?
No, I can't exactly
No.
recall it. But he would have done. He was a great guy.
Yeah. And to go to the other side, you know, what is there something that you take out of your experience of being a prisoner of war, which is something that you like to remember, that it means something a lot to you?
Not really. It's just probably catching up with a few of the old friends that they're not here now anymore.
No.
Catching up with them after, really.
Well, that was where I was trying to see whether there was this bond.
There was a bond.
Yeah.
It was a very strong bond.
Yes, yeah. Well, I suppose now, would you like to just close off with a comment?
Well, I suppose it was this bond that we had, and we just wanted to be together.
Yes, yeah.
A few of us. It was the odd guy we hadn't done the right thing, or couldn't stand, that survived, but we didn't. Weren't many of them.
Well, Bill, I think we'll close there, but may I say how much I appreciate you giving me your time this morning to record this little bit of history.
Thank you very much, Peter. I'm sorry I'm a bit slow to recall some things.
You weren't at all.